Hello and welcome to the unofficial DNQ Derby. We are both wearing our respective strips. I have the former away shirt of the Turks and Caicos Islands, the away side in this fixture, and Ryan has the fantastically, sensationally awesome BVI training shirt signed by at least the majority of the international team. It was a gift
Mate,
from me. I mean,
I'm having to
thank you
stand
for
this
doing it.
close to the camera because if I stand back, you're going to realise how tight this top is on me.
Just give us a gunshot. Give us a little bit of a gunshot.
Just
Look
you
at
can see,
that. You look like
I
a
look like
cyclist.
I look like, I look like a cyclist. It's
Oh,
so
it's good.
skinny.
You don't wear it
It's
often.
so no. I was going to put I've got another BVI shirt, but it was all creased, so I was like, no, I need to wear one, and I
Represent.
put this on, and it is, mate. I feel like I feel like Chris Froome.
You actually do look like him as well, Team Sky.
Yeah.
The most
Anyway,
important
sorry.
question, early doors, which national side has the better badge?
I think BVI.
Oh, it's close though.
I no, I think BVI. I think the TCA. They actually they changed their
Oh, but
crest.
it was awful before.
It was awful. So anyone watching now, Google Turks and Caicos Islands football crest, and then just because it'll be there on Google somewhere, won't it? And the new version is a vast improvement. But I think that the way that they incorporate I don't know that I do know the history, but I'm not feeling that confident to
Yeah.
relay it. But there's 12 lamps that are part of the flag,
They're like the 12
and
Virgins or something, isn't it?
it's
We do
something
know the
like
history, I
that.
just can't remember
Yeah,
off the top of my head.
and I think that the this I think if we're going on badge, I think BVI are one up already. Kit's a different story. I think Turks and Caicos always don a very strong kit because let's be fair, this luminous yellow is pretty
Yeah, I mean,
intense.
you're working with yellow and green, so you're limited, aren't you, in terms of what you can actually do. We do
Yeah,
well
true.
with the two shades of blue that we often wear to make them reasonably cool. I don't love the new Joma ones from us. I prefer the Impact ones, but it's fine. It's fine. And of course, if BVI are 1-0 up because of the crest, then they'd still be level par in terms of international history because these two sides that we've loved since the FIFA 2010 World Cup game came out, they've actually only played each other twice in real life in a competitive sense. Back in 2014, a 2-0 win to the Turks and Caicos Islands, and in 2019, which was in the playoffs for the First Nations League, that was a 2-2 draw, BVI 2-0
Yeah,
up in that game. Will Shear scored in that game, obviously one of the best players for the BVI. And considering the
yeah,
amount of times that we have played this fixture on FIFA 2010, 2014, on our PES game that we created, I mean, it's crazy that they've only met twice before, and this is the first time since we've started doing DNQ that these two sides have actually come up against each other. They're in the
yeah.
Nations League group. It's the two of them and Dominica as well. Winner of the group gets promoted. Neither of these sides ever been promoted before.
Yeah.
Ryan, before we get into talking about each team, do you think that this represents the best chance for one of these sides to get promoted?
I think so, mate. Yeah. Because they will view the games against each other as extremely winnable, and also the games against Dominica
Mm.
as winnable games. They're not quite the outfit that they were. Dominica, this is the team that were quite strong, maybe sort of 6 to 8 years
Mhm.
ago. They're not quite there. I remember when BVI actually played Dominica in the first qualification round for the World Cup back in 2014, lost 3-2 on aggregate, but Dominica were clearly the better team.
Mhm.
Um, Randolph Peltier with the winner in one of those games, I think.
Yeah,
Weird
he's a
knowledge
guy.
comes to.
Yeah.
Um, so I think this is such an evenly matched group. The fixtures are so yeah, mate. They will I mean, all three teams will be like a huge chance for promotion.
Mhm. Mhm.
But for I think for BVI and TCA, it'll feel a bit more sort of pertinent because neither team have ever been above League C in Nations League. And these first games are key in sort of setting that tone.
Yeah, they do. They do set the tone. Obviously, it's the opening game of the group. I think that 3 points, 3 points is so much better than one for both teams, isn't it? Really, if these two teams walk away from their clashes with each other with 2 points, so if they drew both games, that wouldn't be good for either team because they'd then have to do better than Dominica, and it's still going to be tough. You know, we are still talking about two sides that sit outside of the top 200 in the FIFA World Rankings against a side that is the other side of that benchmark. So you've got BVI at 206 and Turks and Caicos Islands 202. So really not a lot in it. Once you get past realistically about 180, there's not a huge amount to separate the sides. And when you get as close as 4 places apart in the 200s, there's really not a lot in it. But talk us through.
This is though absolute ultimate minnow flash, isn't it? Like in a you don't get these sort of fixtures. Well, you get them more now than you ever used to, of course. But this sort of, what did you say, 202 versus? Did you say 206 then, mate?
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, that's just
That's
yeah, delicious, absolutely great. Go on, mate. You're going to ask me a question. Do you want me to talk you through?
Talk us through BVI. We know they're 206. We know they're at home in this game. The AO Shirley.
Yeah.
Key players to look out for, keep an eye on from your perspective.
Key players that basically the spine of the team, mate. Wiltshire, who's the centre half who was playing for like Maidenhead in the National League not that long ago. He still plays at a very good level in the English Pyramid. Then into central midfield, they've got like the combination of Gallimore, James Wilson, and then Luca Chilwell. Luca Chilwell's who's on the books at Eastleigh, by the way, who are in the National League. And then up front, Tyler Forbes, who I don't know actually where he's playing in England now, but I think last time I looked, he was at like Poole. He's played for Weymouth, and he's shown enough in Nations League games. He's rapid up front and also very technically gifted. So they've got a strong core, and they've got good players dotted. Mate, they've got good players dotted about the whole team. That this BVI team is probably the best that they've ever had. I would say in the nation's footballing history, because they've got a lot of players that play at a good level across the English football pyramid. We spoke about Josh quite a lot. Josh Bertie, I think he's at Winchester, or he was last season anyway. Again, they're a very, very solid club playing at a good level. Miguel Marshall also plays in England. I think he plays for Pooltown under 23s or something like that. Mate, there's loads of good players. Whereas I think for TCA, you've got a couple of good players. You've got one outstanding player. I think BVI are far more of a collective,
well balanced
unit. Yeah, which I think will put us in good stead if I'm being honest. What about yourself? Go on. I mean, we're going to talk about one player for the TCA now, aren't we? Billy Forbes.
We're not. We're going to talk about a few because I've seen enough of both sides to know what I'm worried about, what I'm not worried about. So obviously Hayden Mullins has come in semi-recently. About a year ago, it's likely that he came in. Maybe just after. He might have come in at the turn of the year, actually, coming into 2023. And since then, our form's been a lot better. Of course, in the end of the Nations League, wins against US Virgin Islands and that incredible win against Bonaire as well. You know, a side that is in many ways streets above the Turks and Caicos Islands on paper. That win was insane. And I do think that there's just been a little bit more structure to the team since Mullins has come in and under his guidance. A real key player for him, we're obviously going to get onto the main man shortly, but Mackinson Cadet's got a really key role in defensive midfield. It's a position where the Turks and Caicos Islands aren't great. You've got Callum Park, who's a good player technically, but when you compare him to someone like Wilson, who is just going to be so much stronger in the tackles, and when you've got a player like Gallimore, who's pacey and can kind of get up and down the pitch, Cadet's going to be essential in that defensive midfield role. He might even play centre-back if the Turks and Caicos Islands revert to a 5. I think Raz Diamond in the right-back, right wing-back position is going to be important if he plays. Again, you know, with stuff like this, the beauty of it, no idea what the squad's going to look like, who's going to be involved and who's not. It's a bit clearer from a BVI perspective because we've seen some of it online, but Turks and Caicos Islands has no real clue. But Raz Diamond's pacey, and with the counter attack, that you can expect from Tyler Forbes, from Bertie, players like that. If they're on the break, Diamond will be essential. But of course, the main man, one of the best players, I would say the best player for a sub 200 nation currently. The GOAT, the Minnow Nation GOAT.
Minnow Nation GOAT.
Billy Forbes. I don't know what else to say other than that he is a match winner and a game changer. And I do think that seeing the Forbes versus Wilshere real life matchup is going to be eye opening, because Forbes is a player who's played in the second and third tiers of US football his whole career. He's been playing a lot in the second tier of just under MLS for a long time. He's played internationally for the Turks and Caicos Islands and has carried the team through difficult times, and played well in good times as well. But now you're looking at him against what I would call a proper, solid British centre-back in some ways. Wilshere has played at a very, very decent level. He's a very competent centre-back. And if you do, and I mean this in no disrespect to other Caribbean nations, if you do look at some of Forbes' goals, you have got to question the defending. And it's quite clear a lot of the time that some of these teams really benefit from players that play in the English pyramid. And that's where BVI do have a massive edge, as you've already said, over the Turks and Caicos Islands, is so many players that have just benefited from a higher standard of coaching for such a long time that it really is to see the matchup.
But also, the English pyramid is so good so far down.
Yeah.
You have good quality coaching from being part of the English footballing setup, but also week in, week out, you're in a battle.
Yeah.
How do you actually see this going then?
I do see goals.
Genuine. Do you?
I do. I see.
That's interesting.
You know what I think will be really interesting is watching two teams that can't, and again, I mean this in the nicest way possible, can't structure attacks, try and attack. Because
I agree. Yeah, they're both quite similar.
Counter-attack from both teams, and that's either going to lead to a crazy game where there's loads of goals, or it's going to lead to just a really poor quality game. Because what you don't have in either midfield is someone that can really just get the ball and spray it, or control and really command the game from the centre of the park.
The pitch highly likely won't allow that anyway.
No,
so I think you're going to have, out of possession, you're going to have two organised teams. I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game,
right?
Because of I think either team will defend quite deep and be quite organised. Mullins has brought that to TCA. I think the BVI are a bit more organised anyway. Apart from, I know they got battered by Puerto Rico 6-0 in the last Nations League, but they only lost to them 3-1 at home when Forbes put them one up. So I think it'll be very cagey, especially this first game. I reckon it'll be. It's going to go one or two ways, isn't it? It's either going to be a 3-3 or it's going to be a 1-0 to one of the teams, and I think it'll probably be BVI that will edge it in this first game at home. Do you think it's going to? You think there's going to be goals? How many?
5.
3-2 or 4-1.
3-2. I've got to go
3 or 5.
Oh, 5-0. No, I tell you what's going to be a big factor. If the game does become a little bit more direct and a little bit more long ball, I don't know if I have enough faith in the organisation of some of the Turks and Caicos Islands back line in the same way that I do with. I think that the delta between defences is greater than the delta between attacks.
I agree with you.
Forbes versus Forbes is a closer matchup than Wilshere versus Christopher Luisi. Just an example of what I'm talking about. So I am going to go obviously with 3-2 to the Turks and Caicos Islands because I have to back the boys. The only thing that I will add, just a little spice of, is Forbes isn't just a great attacker. Billy Forbes, he's a counter attacker. He's a playmaker. He's a legend of the game. But he's basically Ward-Prowse. And so if you do concede a free kick from anywhere outside of the box to 28 yards, that's a goal. So
I think, as I said, I think it will be low scoring. I think it'll be 1-0. Or if we are going the other end, I think it depends on the Turks and Caicos squad and who plays. But if they don't play a great team, I can see them getting. I can see TCA getting pumped, sort of 3-0 by this BVI team, just because of the squad. Just because of the squad, I think we've got a better team. Um,
I
I
don't
think we've got a
disagree.
better team,
To be fair,
and
I
I
actually don't disagree with that. I think that if you score 3 goals, then we will at least score 1. I think if it's that kind of game, then we'll score. We've got Turbyfield between the sticks. I think we'll be fine. Who's got the better keeper? It's got to be us.
yeah, probably.
We've got Turbo.
I'm
Turbo.
look. I just hope that the BVI can avenge in real life the countless defeats that I suffered at the hands of you at FIFA, basically.
At the hands of Billy Forbes, mate. History's going to
Yeah.
repeat itself once more.
Oh God. God, God, God. We've not even done any. We've not even touched on any other Concacaf Nations League fixtures. This is just the DAQ derby.
This is my sole focus for the next
Is
2
it?
months.
It's available to watch in the UK. This one, isn't it? On YouTube.
It should be on YouTube. Yeah, I'll actually just be out and about Saturday night.
Oh,
on
you're
the town,
out.
so
Oh
I
yeah,
won't be able
you're
to watch
out.
it with you. But in
I'm gonna watch it.
the game,
I'm watching it
I
definitely.
need text updates, and the game is also replayed in the Turks and Caicos Islands in October, and we should be able to watch that together.
Yeah,
which
that
will
would be good.
Which will be good depending on where we are. But yeah, and that will be obviously a chance for the BVI to avenge themselves again after the 5-0 pasting that they suffered. I would love to see goals, and what I do want to see is a close game. I don't want either side to get just absolutely battered, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I think if I check the score and it's 6-0 Turks and Caicos Islands, yeah, will that feel good? Yes, Billy Forbes double hat trick will feel great, but deep
It's
down,
not
I'll just feel sorry for you. I think that's what it'll be.
I'm gonna score then. I think we're gonna win definitely.
Sure.
I'm buzzing for it basically. I'm buzzing
That's
to watch
gonna
it.
be great. Yeah,
Buzzing to watch it.
Yeah, you should be able to watch it on the Concacaf Nations League YouTube channel. It's the biggest
Yeah.
game in the history of world football. Once again, El Conca Clasico. And the D&Q Derby Day. I'd say comment your predictions below, but you don't care about this fixture as much as we do. Let's be real.
Is anyone even going to watch this?
I don't know. We spent 15 minutes talking about the British Virgin Islands versus Turks and Caicos Islands, but it feels very good to have this fixture around. And again, we'll probably do another preview for the next one in October.
I actually could. Let's be fair, mate. You and I think we could chat here about all of the players and all of the countless games we played on the FIFA games. We could probably be here for another hour, couldn't we? Really, but we won't. We'll cut it short, mate. You need to take before we wrap. After we've done with this recording, we'll take a picture of us here and put it on the Twitter. But
yeah, absolutely.
I mean, yeah, if you've made it through this far, then give yourself a massive pat on the back.
I mean, like and subscribe. If you've watched it for this long, I do think that most people who get 18 minutes in or whatever it is to what is going to be a video that we wrap up very shortly, you probably already subscribe. But if you don't, then hit that button.
Yeah.
Give us a thumbs up on the video because it keeps us moving in the right direction. And that's all for us. D&Q Derby Day is soon upon us. Come on, the Turks and Caicos Islands.
Oh,
And we will see you next time.